Okay, so now I'm going to be working on the lower right side, tooth number 30 and 29. I'm going to begin by finding the correct working end, making sure the terminal shank is parallel to the distal surface of the tooth. Then I'll begin with my modified pen grass, and I will adapt my tip to that distal line angle of the tooth. And then I will begin the side to side, side to side, side to side, side to side, up and down, and then out, and then turn my instrument halfways and go towards the mesial, beginning at the distal line angle of the tooth. Side to side, side to side, side to side, side to side. Once I get to that mesial line angle, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, pivot, roll, and then walk into that mesial, and then vertical strokes. Again, same thing on tooth number 29. Start at that distal line angle of the tooth. And I believe I'm starting, my elbow is out and working in once I get to the distals. Working towards the mesials, my elbow is going to be in and working and then ending out. There we go. And again, I'll be sitting either at the 8 or 9 o'clock position for the lower right side, surfaces towards me. Again, mesial line angle, pivot and roll, and then vertical strokes. Once I get to the proximals, then I will begin using the UC. And then I am going to find the correct working end. So that is the correct working end. So I'm going to insert, and then I am going to insert at the distal line angle of the tooth, and then turn my shank so the bend is towards me. And then I'm just going to go side to side, side to side, side to side, vertical strokes once I get to the inner proximals, and then again insert my instrument at that distal line angle, and then I'll open it up a little bit. So I'm just only using the toe of the primary blade going towards the mesial. Once I get to that line angle, start pivoting and rolling, pivot and roll, pivot and roll, and then walk into the mesial, and then side to side. I'm sorry, vertical strokes. And then same thing, tooth number 20. Insert, and then flip my instrument so I'm on the secondary blade going towards the distals. Side to side, pivot and roll, vertical strokes. Turn around, and then switch my blade to the primary blade going towards the mesial. Okay, elbows in. I just corrected myself there. Make sure that bend of that shank is facing towards me. And then right at that line angle, pivot and roll, pivot and roll. Once I get to the proximals, vertical strokes. Okay, so next I'll be using the perio probe. Again, I'll be sitting at the 8 to 9 o'clock clock position, and I will begin at that distal line angle. And I'm going to start high, so I am going to just go right into that distal. Once I get into that distal contact, slightly roll my instrument into the coal, then walk it right back out. Walk, walk, walk. Once I pass that midline, get my buckle reading, and then drop my handle once I'm at the mesial line angle. And then mesial contact, get my reading by slightly rolling my instrument. Again, starting high, and once I get to the mesial, I am going to be low, meaning my handle should be down. There we go, drop that handle right there, and get my reading for my buckles. And then once I get to that mesial contact, slightly roll and get that reading there. Okay, next I'm going to be using my Explorer for the lingual surfaces away from me. I'll be sitting at the 10 to 11 o'clock position. It's showing, I think I'm still at 9. Yeah, so that is the incorrect clock position. So don't do that. And so I'll begin at the distal line angle of a tooth. using my modified pen grasp, making sure my fingers are stacked. And then I will be exploring the distals, and then flip my instrument, and then again I'll be going towards the mesial. This is kind of more like a pull up motion versus like a side to side. But once I get into the interproximals, I'm going to do the vertical stroke. And then I'll be doing tooth number 29, starting at the distal line angle of the tooth. And because it's a small tooth, I'm going to begin to roll, pivot and roll towards that distal. And then I'll flip that instrument, and then going towards the mesial. Again, it's more like a pull back type of stroke. And then once I get to the interproximals, vertical strokes, and then I'm going to switch over to the UC. Same thing. So let's see here. I am going to try to take a look and see my distal. Okay, so the bend of the shank is going to be away from me. So I'm going to start that distal line angle and work and use flipped instrument, so I'm on the secondary blade. Okay, so that looked a little choppy. Definitely need to practice there. So once I start going towards the mesial, I want to flip my instrument, turn my instrument to the primary blade, so I'm using the correct surface of the scaler. And so right here, I'm going to be using the secondary blade, going towards the distal. And then I'm going to turn my instrument, so then I'm on the primary blade, so I'm working towards the mesial. Again, it's a pull back type of motion. It's not so much of a side to side. Once I get to the interproximals, I'm going to work towards the mesial interproximal and then vertical strokes. And then next I'll begin using the perio probe. And so I like to establish my fulcrum about 2 teeth away from the working tooth, still using the modified pen grasp. And I'll begin at the distal line angle of the tooth and walk towards the distal. And then again, my handle's high when I'm going towards the distal, and then going low towards the mesial. Okay, so on tooth number 29, again, walking in towards the distal, starting at the distal line angle. Remember, I'm starting high to low. Once I go towards that mesial line angle, I'm dropping that handle and walking my probe into the mesial.